Hello, hey, this is Dr. Heath Van Horn. I just want to talk to you a little bit about eGrip. So for this lab, you're going to set up 6 routers, and you're going to use the eGrip subnetting, the eGrip routing protocol. So I'm just going to set up eGrip for a couple of the routers and DHCP them and kind of walk you through how I'm doing it. And then that way I'll cut you loose and you can do the rest yourself. It shouldn't be a problem. So the first thing I need is what do we need? We need 1, 2, 3 different IPs. So let's just do a random IP. That looks good. And so I'll make a label for sales. So the sales department. I forget how many we need. Give me a second. We need for sales, we got to have 160 users. So let's get back our subnet generator. We need 160 users. This is not going to do us, so we'll do 24 and then recalculate, and that gives us at least 160 users there, so that's good. Alright, so once we do that, sales department, 160 users. Alright, so the subnet, or the net ID is 203.25.230.0. Our first is 203.25.230.1. Last is 203.25.230.254. Wildcard is 0.0.0.255. Some of you guys are getting really good at this. So as you get better, things will get easier. But for right now, sorry, my ADD here. Okay. So we got our net ID, we got our first, our last, for the sales department. These ones over here, I'm just going to call backbone 1, backbone 2. Then that way, when I do a random IP, because we need a sitter of about 30, I can put in here backbone 1. The IP address is 47.241.186.0. This is fine. We'll do a sitter of 30, which means our wildcard is going to be 0.0.0.3. Okay. And yeah, I went through this one a little fast because, you know, we've been using 30 for the backbone all over the place, so you should know that that is ends in 252 by now. So that we have backbone 1, we got sales, and now we need a server farm. And the server farm is supposed to have how many? I'm looking. The server farm, 100 servers. All right, so we'll do a random IP. And we want 100 servers, so that's probably a 25. And that gives us 126 hosts. That's enough for what we're trying to do. So I will do server farm. Net ID is going to be 61.106.131.128. Okay. We're using 25. The first usable is 61.106.131.129. Last is 61.106.131.131.254, and wild card is 0.0.0.127. All right, so that gives us all the information we need to build our eGrip network between 2 routers and 2 PCs. So the first thing I'm going to do is set up sales. So it's already got the 2 in there, so let's set up sales so that way it has the right things. Enable, config T, and I know some of you by now are fast forwarding through this, up to you, but it's just one of those things. Interface with FA00. Alright, so if we interface with FA00, we want to do the first usable IP, 203.25.230.1 with a subnet mask of 255.255.255.0. Okay, and that took. Then we want to interface with serial port 000, and then we do IP address of 47.241.186.1, and it is 255.255.255.252. So we got those 2 set up, and while we have this open, we can go over here and write the label FA00 ends in 0.1, SE000 ends in 0.1. So that way we now have our labels for this connection when we make it, and we already have this connection here. So that makes things a little bit easier to read. On the server farm, so we can, except there's one thing I did forget to do, right? No shut, because they're not turned on yet. No shut. Alright, interface FA00, no shut. Alright, so those two are on. They're labeled. They are all set to go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a PC here. I'm going to use a crossover cable so I don't have to worry about the switch. Actually, you know what? No, because we're going to test our DHCP. So we're going to put in a switch. Alright. So we're going to do from here to there, and from here to there, and this one we're going to give it the second IP address, just because it makes things a little easier, because that way we can test our egrep before we try DHCP. Alright, so we put in our address 203.25.230.2. The subnet mask is put in automatically. Our gateway is 203.25.230.1. This is why I do the routers first, so that way I know what the gateway is. And DNS doesn't matter, but out of habit, I always put it to Google unless we have a DNS server. Okay. So that's set. That's good. Now let's see if it pings. So it should ping between here and there. Successful. Yay! So they can talk back and forth. That's good. Alright, so we got this part. I'm just going to drag this out of the way here. So that way we have this room over here to play with. Alright. So now let's do the server farm. So the server farm, we already know what everything is. So we're going to set enable config T, and we're going to do interface with SE00. Okay, IP address is going to be 47.241.186.2 with a 255.255.255.252. No shot. All right. Then we do interface with FA00. And again, we're going to net ID is going to be, or the IP address is going to be 61.106.131.129. That's the first IP that we can use with a subnet mask of 255.255.255. I think it's 128. Okay. All right, so that's configured. All right, so we got two things configured. No shut again. Okay, so we leave this on top while we label our equipment. So we put a label over here that says SE000 is actually ending in .129. And then we make another one that says FA00 ends in dot. Oh, that one ends in 129. This one ends in .2. There we go. Okay, so we hover, make sure that those are correct. Yep, that one ends in .2. That one ends in .1. And then we haven't done the other one, so we can Close this. And we'll do the same thing that we did before. Put a switch in there. And then we'll put in a server. And this is why I wanted room, so we could type and we can see everything. Goes to there. This one goes to here. All right. Then now we have to do a fixed IP address for our server. So we go to our desktop and we say static IP is going to be 61.106.131.130. That is the second IP. Okay, so our subnet mask is 255.255.255.128, and our default gateway is 61.106.131.129. 8.8.8.8. Sorry, have it. It's not necessary. If you left them all zeros, that's fine. It's not going to hurt anything. All right. So then we want to make sure that this link is kosher. So we go there. Successful. We got a ping. Can we ping from here to here? Yes. Okay. So all our pings are working for our individual lines. So backbone 1 is configured correctly with the right IP addresses. And this link works, and this link works. So we have all good things. So now we got to set up, because right now we will not get a ping, successful ping between these because we don't have egrep set up. So let's set up egrep. Egrep is fairly simple. And next week's lesson is going to be the differences between these networks. So hopefully you guys are doing the readings. Let's see here. Okay, so we have this set up. So all we have to do for egrep is come in here, and we want to do an egrep simple. So we want to do this. So we say router egrep. I think the book uses 100, so we'll use 100. That number has to be the same amongst all the devices. So it doesn't matter. It could be 87, but we'll just use 100. Why not? They got tired of using 1 for RIP, so now we're going to use egrep 100. All right, so it goes into there. And now we're in the egrep configuration mode, and we say, hey, we want network, because we have them all right here. We want network ID of 61.106.131.128. That matches our net ID, and then we put in our wildcard. I know you guys don't fully understand wildcard yet. The reason for wildcard, and that's why I introduced you early, will be made apparent, but just copy wildcard off the calculation. So, all right, so we added that. You're not going to get a response because servers do not provide egrep mail. Okay, so then our other one, as we're saying network, is going to be the backbone. So we're going to say 47.241.186.0, and our wildcard is 0.0.0.3. Okay, and that's not going to say anything because the other end has not turned on. So if there's nothing, so the thing, and I've talked about this before, you're not going to get a response here. The only time in a command line interface that you will be told any feedback on your commands is if they're wrong or if a status changes. So the thing is, the command was correct. This was correct, therefore I didn't get a response. If it's incorrect, that's when it'll tell me I did something wrong. Or if, in the case of routers and switches, if my status changes. So I know for many of you, this is the first time dealing with command line interfaces. This is perfectly normal, because why should they interrupt your typing just to tell you that you did something right that you already know you did right? There's no point to that. All right, so we'll shut this down. Okay, let's bring up sales and we'll do the same thing. Enable, config T. All right, so we're going to do the same thing. Network, oops. We're going to do server egrep first. That's got to be the same number. You can't be a different number. So server egrep 100. Router egrep. Sorry for the yawn. It has been a rough few days. Okay, so router egrep 100. Now we're going to do network. We're going to use the ID for the sales department, 203.25.230.0 with the wildcard of 0.0.0.255. Okay, that accepted it. Then we're going to do network for the backbone, which is 47.241.186.0 0.0.0.3. Oh, and it gave me an up message. Okay, so that gave us an up message. We are good. All right, so now we should be able to ping between there and there. Successful. All right. You want to make sure that each one of these nodes that you connect can ping successfully, just like this one did, before you do anything else. Because if they don't ping, if your labels are wrong, if any of that fails, you are just asking yourself for all kinds of trouble. At this point, you would save. Hey, I know this works. egrep is working. We can actually go and look at egrep right there, and we can see. Now, it's not like RIP where it sends a packet every 30 seconds, so you're going to have to move this around a little bit. It only looks for changes in the network. So all it's doing now is just sending little, hey, do you have any changes? No, these are really tiny, tiny packets that don't affect anything. So, all right. So egrep is working. We can ping back and forth. Now we can set up DHCP on the switch. And we're using, I didn't put a label on there. Boy, I'm a bad boy. All right. So we're going to put DHCP, or we're going to put the server IP address here, which was 61.106.131.130. Let's verify that for sure. So if I move the label, there we go. Yes, that is correct, except I did not do that. Okay, so now I have an accurate label for my server. I don't have a label up here. Again, that's terrible. So we'll say 203.25.230.2, and we are using 24. Let's double check that that is the same. 203.25.230.2, 24. Okay, yep, So we need to have that. That's important. Okay, so if we go to the server here and we say, hey, we want to set up DHCP, we want to set it up for, there's really no good place to put this window. We want to put it in a new server pool, so we're going to call it on. We're going to call this sales pool. The default gateway is the input to the server for the server farm, input to the router for the server farm, which is 61.106.131.129. 255, 255, 255, 128, I think, yeah. Okay, we're going to start our IP address. So our default gateway, oh, I was off on my fingers, 131. Okay. So that's our default gateway, is to go through there. And then we're going to start our IP address. We're not going to start it at 131 because that's already been used. Oh, no, we can use it. We can start at 131. Start IP address is going to be 61.106. Wait, what is this? 61.106.131.129. Okay. 61.106.131.129. Okay. We're going to start the IP address. Since this is a static IP, we're going to start it at just 1 above it. We're going to allow for... actually, we're going to start at 140. Real world examples, you always keep a few reserved for static IP in your pocket because you never know when you're going to need them. So the total number of addresses we're going to do is 100, and we are going to save this. Okay, and so now we have a sales pool of whatever. Okay, except that doesn't help us because we just did our sales pool wrong. Because I'm an idiot. All right. Sales is not supposed to have that IP address. It's supposed to have 203.25.230.1. And it's 255.255.255.0. And it's supposed to be 203. 25, 230, and we'll say 10. And we're supposed to have 160 users. All right. 203, 25, 230, 10. All right. So that is all good. All right. Save. That updates it here. Let's go back to here. And now if we add a PC, all right. I'm way too tired to be making these videos. Okay. So, did that give us an IP address? No, it's still on static. So let's make sure that we get an IP address. Failed. With all the mistakes I made, I'm not surprised. Still failed. So let's take a look at DHCP and see what DHCP is telling us. It's telling us it's requesting an IP address, it's going to sales, and it's not going through sales. Because why? Come on, Jamal. Why? Come on. Why isn't it going through? Because we didn't set up the helper address. So we go here, enable, config T, interface FA00, IP helper address is 61.106.131.130. Alright. And look at that. Looks like it's going good now. If we switch back to real time, we should see it picked up the very first IP address out of the IP pool. Alright, so I made enough mistakes there that you should be able to learn how to troubleshoot a little bit, because that's coming up. We have a week of troubleshooting different networks. Maybe. So the issue here is can you get your eGrip system working? So this is a rough outline. You know, these things move. Whatever you feel is appropriate for your design. I just did it this way because I keep the numbers big so they show up well on the video, which doesn't give me a lot of space to design the network. I mean, look how little space I'm using. So, all right. Anyway, get an eGrip moving. Good luck on lab, I think it's 15, because 14 is a lab that you guys cannot do at home. So we're just moving on to lab 15, and then I got to fill in some stuff later. After taking the second test and you realize you guys aren't a time crunch, I am hoping that you guys are practicing this stuff. You guys should be practicing so that way you can use these commands effortlessly and you understand the sequence of events. Okay, test 3 is on eGrip. I'm letting you know that now, and you'll get this working or you won't. If you have any questions, please let me know. Contact Jamal. He seems to talk a good game, but he likes talking to people, so you can also talk to Jeremy or not Scott, whatever his name is, Steven. Those guys seem to get things together pretty good, and they're making it work. All right, that's all I have. I will talk to you later.